Okay, Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024, 7 PM. We're opening the public hearing. Please stand, or the, sorry, planning board meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the first thing on our agenda is the open public hearing for the Evergreen Estates subdivision. Anybody in the audience have any comments on this? Anybody on Zoom?
Nobody's on Zoom, or we received any letters in our office or email.
Okay. At this point, public hearing stays open. Next on our agenda is the boundary line adjustment between Noreen Montgomery and Brian and Rebecca Smith, Hartman Loop. Karen, you want to give us?
You want to come up to the desk, I guess, because we'll probably have questions. I sent you out an email that kind of explained what was going on and gave you a couple of maps that Chris and I put together on this property to show you what was going on. The original property owned by Noreen Montgomery is one parcel tax map number, but it is split by the road in two spots. So it actually is three parcels, but it's all under one tax map number. And on this map that I provided to you, it is the yellow, the two yellows and the orange is what is owned by Noreen Montgomery. The pink is what is owned by Rebecca and Brian Smith. And what they now want to do is add the orange to the pink and make it one large parcel, leaving these other two pieces under the original tax map number for Noreen Montgomery. So on your subdivision form, this property is in both the RT and the RU, but it's existing that way. It's not going to have any bearing on what you're doing. So that really doesn't come into play. Let me look at this again. On your subdivision sheet, let me explain why you have two subdivision sheets. I didn't have both signatures on the first one that came in, so I sent it back out to get the second signature, but I had already filled in all my bottom stuff on the first one, so I provided you with both sheets rather than just one incomplete. And what they're doing, the 10.81 acres that's on the subdivision sheet that you have, that's filled out by the applicant or the surveyor, 10.81 is the existing total acreage of the Noreen Montgomery land, which is those three parcels that I pointed out. The 10.47 is the existing acreage on the Brian and Rebecca Smith's property. When they get done with the boundary line adjustment, if you approve it, the Noreen Montgomery property will be left with 3.45 acres. Only 1 acre is required, even though it's split by the road. And the property that would be owned by the Smiths after the boundary line adjustment will be a total of 17.83 acres. The required road width, the next line down, or width of the parcel, I'm sorry, is 200 on both RU and RT. And the 319 is the width of the remaining piece of the Montgomery on the south side of Hartman Loop. The 203 is the existing width of the Montgomery property above Smith's property. And when they get done with the boundary line adjustment, that 319 will still remain the same on the Noreen Montgomery south side piece. And by incorporating those two parcels on where the Smith's property is, they will end up with 403 feet wide there. So that's, I wanted to just, I kind of spelled out what all those numbers were, because when I got it, I was kind of at a loss as what is this? So I I don't know if the Montgomerys have anything they want to add to that. And the Smiths, or you're Tim, correct? Yeah, Tim is here representing his mother.
And my mom would have been here, but she's in the emergency room. She fell again, but she was looking forward to coming. But we're here and we're basically purchasing this, one, because we'd like it to stay in the family, and two, because she's moving into assisted living next week. And her lawyer has advised her that she needs to sell some parcels so that she can afford to pay for staying in the assisted living home. So that's why we're going through this. We've offered all the siblings have been talked to about this, and we live there and have for 40 years. So we're most interested in it, and she has agreed to sell it to us. I don't know if there's any more, Tim, that you want to add?
Not related to this, no. I think there's probably gonna be more if she needs more money for the assisted living, so we'll probably be back, but for now, this is it.
They're exempt from having to do the seeker under section 617(5)(c) 16. They're not in the Adirondack Park, so they don't need to do jurisdictional inquiry there. So the rest is up to you.
So does anybody on the board have any questions? I think it looks pretty,
So the
Simple.
two yellows are staying in her name.
Correct.
And how many acres is on the one on the inside loop?
I don't know, I don't know totally the two yellows. What's going to be left is 3.45. But I don't know how much is in each one. The surveyor didn't give me that information. But they exist that way and they're not taking anything away from them. So they're, even if they weren't conforming, they have been non-conforming as far as the width is concerned. But again, they're not, that portion of it, they're not taking away any of that. Chris, did we do a rough measurement with the acreage on those two, and they were better than an acre?
Yeah.
It was just the width that wasn't correct.
They're both zone RT, which is a 1 acre minimum parcel, and they're both in excess, both sides of the road, the remaining tax map parcel. Each of those sections are bigger than 1 acre.
And if I could add one thing, I believe number 40, the 2.18 acres, I believe those are my mother's also.
Okay. Yeah, but it's under a different tax map
Oh,
number.
okay. The ultimate goal would be to combine those properties, as eventually she'll have to sell the house. So we would probably sell another few lots, so we can get her as long as we can without having to sell the house.
Yeah,
And then we would try to combine those and just sell that land with the house.
Which is the house on?
The yellow one and the
the
front.
upper yellow one.
yeah.
It's abuts the number 40 on this map.
Okay.
do you have any questions about the lots?
No, seems like it's something compared to things
You know, everything looks fine. The two things that had to conform with was obviously the width had to be at least 200, which it is, even though 10.81 is 200.08, so it's within the parameters. So Based on that, the first thing on our agenda here is we need to call for a public hearing. Anybody have a motion?
I'll make a motion to not call for a public hearing.
I'll second.
Roll call vote?
No,
Just do all in favor.
all,
Okay, all in favor?
yes.
Yes.
All who oppose? Hearing none, the motion's carried.
And the final plat would be the map that we, right here, Karen.
Right, it would be what we have in
Right,
the large one in front of us, yes, but if you approve it, they have to come back with a Mylar and at least one copy for the county and paper that, John, you have to sign eventually.
right.
But this is like the preliminary plat. I did put final, but it should be preliminary. Well, but if you accept it, then it becomes the final, so.
Are you ready for a motion or?
Yeah, unless there's any questions about this.
I'll make the motion to approve the boundary line adjustment.
I'll second.
Roll call vote? All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
All who oppose? Hearing none, the motion's carried.
good.
So you're all set. You'll just have to get them to draw up the Mylar. And I don't know if they put that statement on this.
And how many copies do you need, Karen?
You need the Mylar for the county, and you need at least one paper copy for the county, and then however many you want for your own. And I want one with the statement on it that it was approved. They put it, let me look and see if it's on here. This says preliminary though, so they need to remove preliminary for review and put final plat on it right here on the bottom.
Yeah, I think he was waiting until after this meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so just, I want one of the final maps, and you need at least one paper and one Mylar for the county.
Okay,
And then if you want any for your own,
okay,
okay?
great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next we have acceptance of the minutes from December 27th, 2023 and April 24th of 2024.
Have a good night.
Chris sent them out through email. Yeah. Hope everybody got a chance to look at them. Yeah. Any additions or deletions or questions? No. End of the. Does anybody need time to finish looking at the minutes? Nope.
Mm-mm.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes from December 27th, 2023 and April 24th, 2024.
I'll second.
Roll call vote? All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
All who oppose? Hearing none, the motion's carried.
and last but not least, old and no business.
Is anything ever, when I was looking at these minutes, about the minimum width of the pavement that we discussed?
No, the
Was that
board did not
no.
do anything
The
about.
board
it, so-
didn't do anything, and they wanted to wait and address it if we are able to do this zoning update and zoning subdivision rules update with that grant that they got. They decided to wait until then because no one else was
Pushing for it.
yeah, looking for a change.
Okay.
So they just put it off until it's reviewed under the changes if we get to make them.
So, any old or new business?
Yeah, I would like, we got the letter from the
Like association.
Lake Association, so I'd like to discuss that.
Haven't had my copy.
My concern is that I feel like only the planning board received it and not the community. And I want to know why. If- Howard, do you have any input on that? Or that was my concern, that we got it.
I would ask the president of the Lake Association. I know in particular, the sentiment among the leadership of the C-SLAP program was to really improve the communications on their part with the planning board, zoning board, and town board. Because decisions that ultimately are made by the different boards have an impact on the environment. But I think the question you're asking is an important one. and directing that to the president of the Lake Association would be good.
Since you brought that up, the board needs to understand that if you decide to take these tours that they are offering you, no more than 3 of you at one time can be on any tour, or it's considered a public meeting and it has to be posted ahead of time. So just be aware of that if you decide to take that tour that they're offering you.
Just out of curiosity, if like we all happen to go over to Bonds and find each other there and there's more than 3 of us accidentally, does that constitute a public meeting? Or is it strictly because this is more of a setup formalized?
Well, this was an invite to us, so I think that's
I
different.
think he's
than
just asking a
being
general question. like
Community
if
event.
We happen to be out somewhere like at the concert, all 4 of us are standing together.
Right.
Are we in trouble then?
Well, you know, planning board business, if you're doing
Yeah.
planning board business, yes, you'd be in trouble. I mean, I feel like the letter from the Lake Association was meant to address you as a planning board.
Yeah.
So that.
I agree. So that formalized it and that,
Board.
okay.
The unusual thing about the letter is the month before we had some input from the Woods Association and their conservation plan. And all of a sudden we get this letter. And I just think I personally am not going to go because I think it's unethical to do something like that since that was brought up at the last meeting. The lake. I just feel that that's wrong. If you're going to invite, you should invite the whole town, take them on a cruise or whatever you want to do, but I just think you're after something and I don't think it's ethical, but that's my opinion. Might be legal, but
If anyone has anything else to say about that, now is the time, because I'm going to ask Chris to give you a brief update on a conversation he had with Eric Sandblum on the Evergreen Estates project.
Well, my concern is how they got our information.
I don't know how they got your information because I don't give out that list. That list is for you members. If someone calls our office and wants, the list exists, so I guess it's really public information. The list exists. Your contact information exists. So I guess it is public information. No one contacted me and asked for it. But if someone does call my office and asks for your information, the only thing that we give them ever is whatever can be taken off the GIS public record, which is basically your address. I don't give out phone numbers. If they want to go online and research phone numbers, that's up to them. And I do not give out emails unless it is published somewhere else, like in that county handout book that they give out where the councilman's information is given. But I personally do not, from my office, give out the information.
I guess I feel the information should have came through the town and then been asked to be distributed to us as a planning board, not sent to our home addresses,
Okay.
is my concern. That it should have been presented to you or the town to be presented to the planning board as a request.
Instead
or
of.
Instead of sent to my house.
Okay.
The only thing
Should I address that, Mary?
I mean,
So
how do we?
I don't, okay.
go ahead.
I always have said, even when I talk to you guys, I always feel that we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard, especially if we're on the board, rather than doing anything for personal gain.
Okay.
Do we know if the zoning board and the town board received letters and?
I don't know. I don't know if anyone else received it or not. I can reach out to the zoning board chairman, and the letter indicated that last year the town board had been invited to go, so I don't know whether they would re-invite them this year or not, but I don't know the answer to that question.
It just seemed odd to me that after having the conservation plan come up, then all of a sudden we get these letters.
Yeah.
Well, I just would like to say, as you know, I've been involved in the Lake Association and the zoning board and planning board, or the zoning board and town board, has been invited for the last 3 years. The town board has played a key role in this in terms of the Lake Association working in partnership to keep the town board and the CSLAP program front and center in terms of attention that the lake would need to prevent milfoil and invasive species. So it's just part of the process of what any lake association does. If you follow the Lake George Association, for example, they're and I'm just using them as an example, a pretty proactive group. Honestly, they do a better job of communicating with the public, with lakefront property owners throughout the watershed, local businesses, and that's something that I see the Lake Association looking to do a better job of communicating the results of the CSLAP program, the invasive species prevention program, educational programs for people who would who use the lake to wash their boats, et cetera. So it's part of a process, but I think the topics and the questions you're bringing up are certainly important, and I'll do what I can too to share with board members who I know and work with on voluntarily on the lake group. You know, it's part of the process of communicating, but can we all do a better job of communicating? Absolutely.
Well, it's not that I don't want to be notified. It's if I'm to be notified as a planning board member,
Mhm.
I'm notified here,
Mhm.
not at my personal address.
Mhm.
If I'm notified as a citizen of the town, then that's my home address.
Mhm.
But as a planning board member, when I'm addressed here
Mhm.
and only here. And it's a violation of my privacy for them to reach out to me as a planning board member at my personal house.
Mhm.
It's no different than them coming to visit me to discuss planning board information at my house.
Mhm.
You do planning board business here. And
Okay.
that's my issue.
And I think you're right about the town board. They should be part of Lake Luzerne's associations, but this board doesn't do what the town board does.
Yeah.
We have rules and regulations, and it's completely different. And that's why I don't think it's right, but it's my opinion. If they want to talk about a project or something that's going on that comes to us, that's why we have a public hearing.
Right.
And show up here.
Right.
Right.
Anybody else got any comments?
Chris, do you want to give them an update on what you talked to Eric Sandblum about?
Sure. So as Karen said, I had a brief conversation with Eric Sandblom, the engineer that's working with Adirondack Industries for the Evergreen Estates subdivision. And they indicated that they did hear back from DEC and DOH, and they will be issuing a permit for the revisions that that took place there in their plan. So that's pretty much it. He's gonna keep us updated. He may have paperwork to submit for the upcoming planning board meeting. Didn't commit to that one way or the other just yet, but it was just an update that it looks like they've got approval for their new revisions. So they haven't received.
Which
the
they'll
permit
bring
yet.
to the board. Well, they got to bring it to the board
Yes.
Yeah.
at some point.
And we do need stuff for this time. We need
Right.
businesses drastically to get revenue into this town.
Now, at the stage that they're in right now, would it be a preliminary plat that they're bringing, or is this like an
Well-
updated plat?
They've already brought the preliminary plat. We
You,
already have that.
you're right, but I don't think that you have given final approval on it
Right.
because that public hearing is still open.
So they're gonna have to bring.
So if it's
revisions.
made any changes, they'll have to bring you another preliminary plat and then you'll have to review that. And then make your decision based on that. I mean, you're gonna have to see what those changes are, if it's changed any of the stormwater or anything. So
Hopefully everybody saves their.
paperwork, I hope so, because I,
Yeah, I have it.
Well, they indicated they shifted it over a few feet. I don't know how much that's gonna change the paperwork, but does that
well,
mean?
they'll-
You mean the
that's what
road
they're-
or
They're gonna have to
Yes.
bring that back.
is it still
in
28
with the
feet? I hope.
change.
I didn't ask the question, but that did not come up.
Well, we'll know when they bring
Yes.
bring it to us. Okay. Anybody else have any updates or old new business? Mary?
was a very
I'm just picking on you today.
Still recovering from last night,
I'm very quiet.
Oh, yeah, last night we.
from yesterday.
They have the town board meeting.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Graduation. Rosalie, right? Howard? Okay, in that case, make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.